Gosh, it's your sister Cheryl. Ah, yeah.
Are you finished?
That's what you sound like every day.
Ah, it's your sister Cheryl.
That's what your ma sounds like every day.
Is that your volume for this video?
No!
What was it you said, Megan? Tremethick, horror filmmaker?
I said, that's what your ma sounds like every day.
I can't believe you said that about my mother. So, that is Megan Tremethick. And I am Lawrie Brewster, a horror filmmaker extraordinaire, director of many such films. In fact, I can't list the films, because if I list the films that I have made, I'll have to cut away to them. And in the edit, that is so annoying, having to pick an 8-second bit of this film and that film. No, just take it for granted that I have directed some wonderful horror films really, really, really well. And that, conversely, Megan has made a nice cup of coffee. So we all have our roles in life and contributions to make towards the cinematic arts.
That's not even true.
I see you have lots of lipstick on your coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Dear. So we hope you enjoyed our discussion about 1981's The Evil Dead, directed by Sam Raimi. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our video. Oh wait, I almost forgot.
What, the actual video?
Yes, there's the actual video.
We need to do that.
And you'll be excited to know that today's video is being filmed by Michael Brewster, who is behind the camera in a kind of aubergine maroon coloured
Aubergine's purple, isn't
parka. Is it? No?
Mustard puffer jacket.
He said he's wearing a mustard puffer jacket. And on hand for trivia is my wonderful friend Tom Staunton. There he is, adjusting his balls behind the camera to be more comfortable.
it? Yeah.
So, as a young woman
Yes.
of 23 years of age, every day must feel like a learning experience when you see things.
Yeah, it is with
Everything. Well, of course, as a teacher and a guide and I suppose a prophet of sorts, you know, that would be the case.
Yeah.
You recently saw The Evil Dead for the very first time.
Yeah.
To your bright, young, virgin-like eyes, this horror film must have been an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, it sure was. I really enjoyed The Evil Dead. It was awesome.
It must be striking as well, just watching a motion picture as opposed to a TikTok video.
I don't even have TikTok. Sorry.
Really, on my research, me and many other men aged in their late 30s to early 40s figured out that TikTok was the common media most viewed by, young women.
Yeah, well, not me. Sorry.
Well, there goes my first attempt to relate to your
you
world
tried.
and universe.
Failed.
So, The Evil Dead, I don't think it needs much explanation. It's one of the first major cabin in the woods style horror films. It was the film that built Sam Raimi's career and Bruce Campbell's career and Ted Raimi's career. We all remember Ted Raimi from The Evil Dead, don't we?
Yeah.
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 This is a film that was self-funded by Bruce Campbell and Sam, mostly Sam, and it's an extraordinary feat of low-budget filmmaking. It goes through the full gamut of what it is to be an independent filmmaker, struggling and persevering, getting some money from distributors, putting your own house as collateral to get loans from the bank, maxing out every debit card loan you could get. They took every chance they could to make sure that this film could get financed, finished, and even paid to help it get distributed, to pay for some very expensive deliverables, everything. But thank God they did, because
it really paid off.
Yeah, well, great. You know,
Yeah.
because without it, we wouldn't have this extraordinary horror film. And so we come back to your youth
As you frequently do in these videos.
and what it must be like to have viewed a film, because you know, in the generation of TikToks, you know, there's so many fast-moving colours and shapes and things that
What
comprise
shiny
of
things?
videos for young people, you know, and characters. Some of them could be described as often kawaii, as we say in
Japan.
yeah, for cute. You know, and then you have this repugnant horror film with plasticine horrors and crude makeup and crude everything. What did you think of a film that was made 67 years ago?
Well, I loved it, and obviously it's the first proper cabin in the woods film, right? But it did it the best, you know? Like, I don't think I've seen any other cabin in the woods film that has outdone The Evil Dead, so they set the bar really high when they created the genre.
So you're a big fan of it then, you enjoyed it. So when you talk about a cabin in the woods type film, what kind of experience does that evoke in you? You know, what do you feel about the idea of what a cabin in the woods film is?
It's just very isolated and quite desolate. And I think they played on that really well with the kind of like sound design of something's coming in the woods to this tiny little cabin. And they made it really claustrophobic with lots of kind of running around and like tracking shots.
Okay.
It was good.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the feeling of what a cabin in the wood film is. Because there's something primeval about this. You're in the great outdoors at night in a cabin. It's something almost like the stuff of the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, you know, like Red Riding Hood and things like that. There's something truly historic about the idea of the macabre and the horror related to a mysterious little cottage in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the foundation for that genre, and it is well expressed in The Evil Dead, but it's something that has a history that comes long before The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So these feelings that films like The Evil Dead evoke, it is something that we already have a subconscious familiarity with, you know? And The Evil Dead evokes that atmosphere quite effectively, I think.
Definitely. And even just how the protagonists are quite young, they just seem very vulnerable, like children in fairy tales straying into the woods. They kind of have this naivety about them as well.
Yeah, that's true. They do. And it's interesting because if that naivety was misplaced, you would spend a lot of that time questioning why the characters are making certain decisions or not. I feel in general that the characters make reasonably rational decisions.
Me too, actually, which is quite unusual for some horror films. They can be very like, oh, why are you doing that? And it's like, oh, it's because of the movie. But with this one, I think the evil is so great in this film that they kind of just have very limited options anyway. That's why, like, the protagonist, Bruce Campbell's character, Ash, I just rooted for him so much, not particularly because he was a very charismatic character, but not particularly because of who he is, but more just the evil that he has to face to overcome this and survive, because it just seems utterly impossible.
So, yeah, Bruce Campbell is the protagonist, and you talk about evil, which obviously he does confront in The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
What about the evil that is manifested and represented in the film makes you feel that it is evil, that it is effectively evil, that has, you know, what impressions does it make on you?
Well, it's a curse for those that haven't seen the film, although probably everyone has. I think because it's in the woods, this curse can possess any person.
Sure.
It feels utterly relentless.
And how does it make you feel? Because, and just tell me if you disagree, but the horror in Evil Dead is a little different to the horror, I think, in many other normal horror films. Like, there is something more powerful and a little bit gets more effectively under your skin. It's not your regular zombie movie. It's not your regular possession movie either, in my opinion. But if you feel that way, what is it about the evil in The Evil Dead that do you think made it feel effective to you personally?
That's a good question. I think it felt weirdly plausible because it also slightly reminded me of The Exorcist in the way of they would kind of cry out certain horrific and sometimes slightly funny things. It just felt kind of like whimsical but terrifying. I mean, yeah.
I think that's one of the interesting things about the horror with The Evil Dead. There is a very thin veneer of black comedy.
Yeah.
It's almost, for some people, so thin you could miss it. But for me, like in my incredible impression of Ash's sister Cheryl, there is this comedy of,
Your sister Cheryl.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, there is this thin black comedy. There is an absurdity as well, or absurdism, should I say, is a better way of putting it in terms of the art form. Closely linked to surrealism, which more represents itself in the sequels to The Evil Dead. But within the original Evil Dead, this veneer of black comedy, this absurdism, I think, has a good root in a sense of oppression that helps to build an effective characterization for evil. You know, it has a presence that allows it to be more effective. And so when I was talking about that to you, that's the kind of point. It's not an easy thing to express or put into words, but if you think that horror was more effective in The Evil Dead than it was, say, in another horror film, then for you at home, especially as aspiring filmmakers, one has to question, what is it that sets the evil apart in The Evil Dead compared to your standard, say, Amazon Prime horror movie right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is it? Well, we have this oppression.
Yeah.
We have this, a weird sense of, for me, authenticity. Now that sounds strange because, you know, the horror in The Evil Dead is linked to, you know, Lovecraftian necromonicon that's uncovered. But when that book is first drawn by the character Cheryl, when she's beginning to be possessed, it's quite uncanny.
Yeah, absolutely.
You feel something like this book, you know, when you're seeing it getting torn through the pages of her sketch pad, coming through one world into her world, it's done very effectively. And I remember as well when I first saw it, that the atmosphere, the oppression of that film, and a kind of a bleakness as well, it kind of lingered with me, especially after watching it for the first time because I had to make a walk through the woods at night for about 10 minutes through that. So another point with the absurdism and the black comedy. Now, in the sequels, that aspect is played up more and more to the point where it is supposed to balance against the horror to make it less horrible.
Totally.
But with The Evil Dead, the way it's attuned, the absurdism and the black comedy almost make the horror more horrible.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, it's not detracting from it. It's instead giving the horror more body if it was some kind of wine. It's like, now this horror is so horrible that it can fuck with your head and even have fun with you.
Yeah, like there are no limits.
It's tormenting you in a sick, perverse, almost idiosyncratic way. And when you give something as ephemeral as a kind of horror supernatural presence, that kind of personality, where it's really having fun with you as well as torturing you and killing you, that, even if it was by accident in their production, is one of the things that elevates The Evil Dead. And it's something that is missing from any remakes or attempts, but I guess that will be for another video. The Evil Dead comparison video that we'll eventually do. But yeah, of all the characters, if we to say the character of the Necromonicon is the one that is most full of personality and dynamism
For sure. And I loved that each of the kind of manifestations of this evil and these kind of zombie demon-like, almost, they kind of behave like mad people as well, which is also really unsettling. But they all had completely different personalities. It was almost like different shades of this, evil necromonic. God, how'd you say it?
You'll never retrieve the Necromonicon.
Thank you. Exactly, but each character was just more and more terrifying. I really liked
one of my favourites was the Cheryl, the possession.
Yeah, she was great.
After my expert impression.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones didn't get a chance to say much.
True.
You know, like Scotty, when he gets possessed, he just is a physical threat.
Or Shelley, I think she's called.
Is it Shelley? Yeah.
She had a bit to do, but not as much.
But Ash's girlfriend.
Yeah, Linda, she was just the standout one for me. She was
Right.
so creepy as the kind of little dolly girl, kind of sitting in the, like rocking on the floor, like being like, oh, I still have nightmares about that.
She was brilliant.
Yeah.
Wasn't she creepy?
Yeah.
And when she starts singing, you know, not another peep, time to go to sleep, you know, that kind of thing. You know, like it's brilliantly done. And that's the personality of the Necromonicon that is so brilliant. Brought to life with these very distinct personalities with the horror characters, but all of them sharing in a perverse combination of horror and tormenting and this kind of humour that is perverse.
Totally, yeah.
And there's a big difference, folks, between perverse humour contained within the artistic and intellectual framework of the horror you're expressing and a meta representation when you have the comedy alongside the horror but separate, where you're winking at the audience in a manner to make them self-aware of how funny and witty you are. That's more like, more like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Directed by Joss Whedon.
Yeah. To speak about the characters a little more, and you were saying,
Tell me all about
I
them.
shall. So, you were saying how everything was kind of, I can't remember what word you said. You didn't say grubby, but it was, like, because everything was kind of a little more slapdash, with the makeup and the costume. But I think that made it so much creepier than everything being all slick and polished, comparing to a lot of nowadays, even, indie films nowadays, they aim to be as slick as possible.
This is it. When you see the Facebook groups for horror, right, and you have comparisons between The Evil Dead and the remake, you'll always see these fans who are like, "Oh my God, I can't stand The Evil Dead. The effects are so weak, or the graphics are so weak," and I'm just like,
Graphics.
I know, right? And the best solution for them is to walk into the sea and stop breathing.
Yeah.
But for anyone with an atom of affection, intelligence, or appreciation for horror, just an atom, then the very spirit of independent filmmaking is expressed by a slight slapdashery. And if you have an ounce of imagination, then you know what? You can appreciate the film and the horror of it. And the limitations of the makeup and stuff like that, you're right. It does make it gritty. It kind of makes it, in some ways, feel more authentic and horrible and weird what you're watching.
Absolutely. I think it adds to it than it looking completely realistic, because it looks horrific. It looks kind of like, I don't know, it just reminds me of like people getting like stuff put on their faces in like torture things, and it looks horrific, and that adds to it, in my opinion.
The makeup and the effects for The Evil Dead are actually superior to those of the Evil Dead remake, because it evokes a greater sense of authenticity, horror, fun, and entertainment within the framework of what The Evil Dead sets out to be. Whereas the fact now I'm veering off into a video comparison. I know I really shouldn't do that.
Oops.
But if you do think the effects are better in the Evil Dead remake because it's cooler, then just, shut the fuck up. So, Bruce Campbell,
Yeah.
what did you think of his performance?
I thought he was, he's great in all three films, but I particularly liked him in the first one just because he was a little less fan servicey in general.
I don't know what you're talking about with fan service
Yeah.
and respects to the sequels.
I know. I'm one person in a million to think that, clearly. Yeah.
I thought Bruce Campbell did a remarkable job. Physical performance that put him through unbelievable limits.
Yeah.
But he has your respect then.
Absolutely, yeah. Firstly, yeah, the poor guy, he's like dragged through mud, he's like covered in blood, like, you know, he goes through so much, well, in all the films, but he just did such a good job at playing like a down-to-earth, likable guy in the first one, and as I said before, everything that he goes through, his character just kind of adds to you really rooting for him.
And his performance effectively made him a pop cultural icon within the horror genre, and to be honest, even in pop culture in general. It's a great example for those aspiring to pursue acting, to study just how you could do something. I mean, he was only about 19 or 20. I mean, Sam Raimi was only just 20 years old in the start of production.
Wow.
And they were buddies. And so from the tour de force that Bruce Campbell does, he built himself an entire career, where even now, 4 decades later, you know, he'll still be loved and cherished at conventions for that character that he plays.
We're all still rooting for him.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, he's appeared in the television series Ash versus the Evil Dead, relatively recently, only a few years ago. To get that kind of mileage and to pay off your house, doing that for one character in a micro-budget horror, wow. There's also Betsy Baker. I think she plays Linda, and
In the first one.
in The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I have Tom on hand for trivia here, but the name of the actor that plays Scotty is Danny Fahihahohaho Richard de Manencourt, Lord of the Western Isles.
Although his name back then was Hal Delridge.
Oh yes, but also known by his stage name, Hal Denrich. Incidentally, Betsy Baker and Richard de both had stage names for The Evil Dead because their Bolshevik organization, known as the SAG, would have penalised and crushed their careers dare they work of their own volition on a non-union film. So wanting to help their friends or just wanting to get involved in the opportunity that presented themselves, they had to use these stage names. And here's the thing, you're in a union, right? Oh great, it's going to change your life, but you know, if you don't live in LA, then or New York, what do you do if you're in the middle of nowhere? And then suddenly a film is getting made in your state. But no, don't do it because, you know, everyone in LA and their little precious SAG wants to have all the chips to themselves. Well, fuck them and equity. But anyway,
And it's kind of ironic because that film became a massive hit. Like,
it did.
A massive hit.
It did. Mind you, they might have appreciated SAG given the hell that they went through shooting it, but nah. No. The crew went through hell making that film, but you know what? So do all indie filmmakers, and that's what's special about The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is like a flag for independent filmmaking, and it built the careers of so many people through the courageous spirit of those folks that were willing to torture themselves, mind, body, and soul for 11 days
For
making
art.
that movie. Sure. So, talking about our actors then. So, what did you think of Betsy Baker as Linda, and of course as her possessed?
Yeah, she was great. Like, that's such an amazing part because she's like the perfect kind of girl next door to begin with, and then she becomes utterly horrific and kind of, yeah, she's just completely insane, and it's terrifying. Yeah, like that. I particularly also like the scene when Ash is going to give her the mirror necklace, and she's kind of like, he's pretending to be asleep or something, and she's kind of like looking at him like, oh, shall I take it? But it's so unsettling. They kind of do like close-ups of her eyes, then close-ups onto him. And yeah, it's just really creepy, and the soundtrack's really unsettling, and that was just a really nice moment.
And they did the reversal of that.
Yeah, they do.
When she's a deadite, and she's the one spying on him and then closing her eyes whilst he's digging her grave. And that was inventive and fun. Yeah, I thought she did a good performance.
Really good.
And Richard Farhaha, yeah, fine. Yeah, he plays Scotty, does a good job, you know. Him, like anyone else playing the Deadites, had to endure the makeup, which was the most terrifying challenge.
Yeah.
The contacts were reportedly very painful to wear and had to be
Really?
changed after every 15 minutes so their eyes could breathe.
Worth it though. The pink looked so good. Like, it's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree.
Oh,
but
yes, we
the-
will. Dearest Megan Tremethick, I do concur with your suggestion that the contact... No, please go on.
I think pink looked so much better and creepier than blue in the next films. That's just my opinion.
Well, we have 1,500 subscribers, so I hope to see 1,500 comments in reply to Megan's call out to all of you, our Hex horror community, to answer decisively her question about the contact lenses. Do let us know.
That's enough of your sass.
So we also have Emily Randall Weiss.
You were just making these up as you go
That
along.
plays Cheryl, I think. Tom will.
Sandwicks.
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 Sandweis. What's her first name?
Ellen.
Ellen Sandwicks. That was pretty close.
You weren't.
Plays Ash's sister, who she has the scene where she is effectively molested or raped even by trees, which coincidentally is Michael's preferred sexual fantasy. If you would like to see a Channel X video where Michael explains that fantasy in more detail, please let us know in the comments as well. So anyway, she does
That's some trivia.
a trivia.
Ooh.
A trivia alert, everyone. Trivia alert. Tom has
Alert.
Taybert said the infamous tree rape scene was inspired by a scene in Shakespeare's Macbeth, in which the Burnham Woods come to life.
brilliant.
Wow.
So the tree rape scene is inspired by Shakespeare's Macbeth, in which Burnham Wood comes to life. And that's the great fear of Macbeth, is this prophecy that says the trees will come alive. Brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. So even Shakespeare has a role to play in the creation of the Evil Dead.
Yes, I thought so.
That same producer also, when he looked at the dailies for the scene, wasn't satisfied with how brutal enough.
Right, so the producer who suggested that with Macbeth also wanted the film to be more brutal. What was the name of the producer?
Taybert?
Taybert.
Surname is Taybert.
Taybert. Maybe have a look in your trivia, see if he was young like them or if he was somebody older. So, Ellen Sandweiss is kind of like the modern, I guess her modern equivalent would be a kind of shy gothy girl that is, quite insular.
Yeah. Or maybe she seemed kind of a bit like a nerd.
Nerd. I
Maybe.
totally had the hots for her when I was growing up. She was like the one that I would like to have dated. Yeah. It's important for you to all know that, really.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So anyway, Ellen Sandweiss, I thought she had a good performance. She's the first one to turn into a Deadite. She
Yeah.
plays, her zombie character is probably the more,
Not flamboyant, that's not the right word, but more kind of, she like exclaims a lot.
she has lots of
Yeah.
lines, yes. She
Yeah.
really throws herself into the role.
She did, she was great.
And she has the most emotional hysteria to perform as well, because the other characters, they are killed, they turn, they don't have the hysteria in which her character has, where she tries to convince Ash and the others to leave and
Yeah.
everything like that. She has quite a lot of responsibility and weight on her shoulders.
She absolutely does. And like the tree rape scene is such a heavy scene to have to film in a way, like, well, definitely. And she did that so well. And it was just so unsettling to watch.
Now, all your previous favourite scenes from films we've watched, including those of Sergio Leone in the videos that we've produced for Channel Hex, have all consisted of various forms of molestation and rape. Is the tree rape scene in The Evil Dead your favourite scene in this film, or are we changing tack?
No, we're changing tack. What the hell?
So what is your favorite?
Can I just say that you
yeah.
can appreciate a scene and have it
Without
be
having-
a favourite, but not because you like or endorse what's happening. You can appreciate something for being good drama
So
or
you-
good horror.
So
or-
you can like a scene even if it doesn't include rape or molestation,
Yes. Yes, I can.
but it's harder to.
No!
Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not what I'm saying. I think my favourite scene in the whole thing would probably be when Linda is acting all creepy, but then she suddenly switches it up and turns back to normal, and then
She's really playing with Ash's head, yeah.
yeah, and then Ellen, well, what's her name? Cheryl. Yeah,
Cheryl,
she turns normal as well, and it's so creepy. Everyone's like, I'm alright now. It's like, no, they're really not.
Yeah.
But you can't say that. Yeah, it's great.
Would you say that if in your top 5 the tree rape scene, would it be number 1 or 2?
Well, I've already said it's not number 1.
Okay, so
Gave an alternative scene.
folks, if you would like to see Channel Hex video of Megan Tremethick's top 5 rape scenes in modern cinema, then let us know in the comments below.
You bastard.
So we've got, I think we've covered the cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've missed out anyone. Oh wait, we have, it's a shame, Scotty's girlfriend.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Played by...
I actually thought she'd be the one you would have wanted to date.
Really?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because she looks like Kate Bush.
Right, so she had a stage name as well. So her actual name's Teresa Tilly for her career, but for sake of SAG, her name was Sarah York. Yeah, she was good fun. She played it straight. And yeah, it's funny she didn't immediately come to mind, but so many of the characters who do come to mind are because of their demonic versions.
Yeah.
are so flamboyant, and obviously Cheryl and Linda's characters are so, but she's hacked to pieces quite quickly.
Yeah, she is.
And then we see all the gibbery, trembly remains wiggling about. What did you think of the deadite zombie demon effects? Somewhat reminiscent of the Dario Argento produced films, Demons.
I liked, again, it's back to the kind of slapdashness, but I thought like the stop motion animation was awesome, and it just looked really like gnarly and kind of
Stop
gross.
motion, that's when, at the end of the
Oh,
film,
you mean
when
the
it-
animatronics, right?
No,
When they
just
come-
in general,
or just
yeah. But that's amazing though, right? When they disintegrate, the stop motion, it's such an inventive,
So amazing.
time-consuming thing.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. It just must have taken ages. And yeah, the kind of animatronic limbs when they'd be like, that was great as well.
Yeah.
It really added to it.
The effects and the character design for them all are really effective. And you pointed out the eyes, and I think, especially compared to the Evil Dead sequels, I thought that there was so in the sequels, the eyes are just basically straightforward white kind of eyes.
Yeah, kind of white blue.
But in the first one, there's something more pinkish
and like bloodshot.
bloody and fleshy, and it's really just grotesque and hideous.
And you just haven't seen that. Like, I've never seen that before. But I've seen lots of kind of bluey white eyes before. It just seems more unique.
I have not seen very many films that have demonic characters like The Evil Dead.
No.
The closest that come to mind are the Dario Argento produced films. There's a director who isn't Dario Argento that did make Demons, but yeah, much like Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas or Steven Spielberg's Poltergeist, those directors have somewhat dissolved beyond, instead of their more famous producers' names. But yeah, Dario Argento's Demons, Demons 2 are the closest with The Evil Dead. Although Demons, the first one came out, I think, maybe check what year. Demons came out it's kind of curious to see if Demons came out before The Evil Dead.
Dario Argento's Demons.
Yeah, poor director of Demons. You'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I directed this film, not Dario Argento. Why is it called Dario Argento's Demons? Because Dario Argento at the time sold films, and whoever the director of Demons was, he'd probably have a name like Luca de la La La. It'll be something like that. No one will remember that name, not even his mother, and that's a shame.
It was made in 1987.
Oh wow! So yeah,
85, sorry.
1985. So yeah, The Evil Dead is first out the running, first out the starting gate, really.
Lamberto Bava.
Lamberto
Bava.
Bava. Oh right. Well, actually, he is actually quite a well-known Italian horror director.
Produced by Dario Argento.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about Demons sometime. It's a great horror movie. Different, obviously, to The Evil Dead, but similar in its depiction of horrific, physically grotesque demons. Really, really, really horrible. And so yeah, we've got great performances. The story is straightforward and simple. It gets to the point. It doesn't really waste any time. And
Really snappy.
Yep. It does fly by.
Yeah.
And the location and the art direction, I think, it evokes a film you haven't seen, but the location of the Texas. It has a feeling or vibe of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
People could be so angry at me for not watching that yet.
But Megan's whispered that she hasn't seen it yet, but you see, there will eventually be what is a 23-year-old film?
Stay tuned.
Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. And The Hills Have Eyes as well, which we see a torn poster of as a little Easter egg in the Great Wes Craven film, in the basement of the shack in The Evil Dead. There's some great art direction with the lights and atmospherics, the smoke as well, and for The Evil Dead as well. That cabin really comes to life as a quite an organic character. It feels like a face.
And the way it's shot, it almost looks like it could be in a dark void. Sometimes it almost looks like they could have swapped it out for a set in a dark studio at times, then just filled it with smoke. It just felt totally like, oh, have they been transported somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. So the sound design and the cinematography are very interesting as well, especially the stylistic changes which we see more so in the last act. We have these very unusual close-ups of physical objects, pieces of wood and things, and we hear sound effects very singularly placed to kind of give us an idea of the heightened sensory awareness of Ash as he hears things like, we'll hear like a creak, and then we'll suddenly have a close-up of a piece of wood creaking, and then a door and a clock, and the camera will fly to these close-ups that are very flat. I'm not sure exactly how they achieve it in terms of the cinematography. The shots are very flat, almost like a kind of deep focus type kind of thing or something like that. But it's remarkable, and the sound design is remarkable.
Yeah.
What did you think of the last act, where Ash is running about the house on his own? You've got the projector bleeding, you've got this intense sound design and everything.
Oh, I loved it, because, I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't figure it out at the end, because obviously he burns the book. But all of a sudden, when the shot went to the book, I was like, oh, of course, he burns the book, But it seemed like there was no way that he was going to get out with that last act. It seemed utterly intense. I was like, maybe he's going to actually die in this film. They just made it so fast-paced and terrifying.
I think it's it's about 15 minutes, an incredible one-man show when he's running around and going through pure hell.
Yeah, so well acted.
So well produced, with great art direction and sequences. That is one of the things, that section of the film helps elevate The Evil Dead far beyond its low-budget horror peers at the time it was made, and most low-budget or even horror films produced today. And it's precisely the lack of such a sequence that makes the remake so inferior. But I suppose that's another video.
Yeah.
Ash looks like he buys it though at the end as well. You have that you have the scene where the big camera perspective door, flying through all the doors that spring open, and he turns and screams at the end, and then bang, you're on the end credits with the kind of hokey pokey record music.
Oh, I know. Like, when it ended, I just thought like, oh, there are 2 films after this. How can they just add more? This feels so kind of perfect.
Well, at the time, they just had no expectation there would necessarily be a sequel. The original name for the film was The Book of the Dead, I think, and it was just a very singular idea. But yeah, we love the sound design, and we love the music, we love the cinematography, we love the effects, we love the demonic characters, we love the performances, and what about the direction? I mean, that's all within the direction. I mean, Sam Raimi did a remarkable job. But as with all films, we can't place a disproportionate level of esteem to the director. It's a group effort.
Yeah, no, totally.
And it's just good sometimes if folks understand that, with the exception of myself, obviously, in my own films. But
yeah, he does none of the work.
Yeah. True. Yeah, some directors carry all the work and their crew are insignificant, me and Annabella, it would seem, according to some of our social media posts back. That's another story, isn't it? So, to your young lady eyeballs, The Evil Dead, would you recommend it to other folks?
1,000,000%.
How many coconuts out of 10 would you give it?
I would say because it's imperfectly perfect. So 10 coconuts from me because I love it.
Wow, full 10 coconuts?
No, I love it.
And yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, I'll give it 10 as well. There's no reason to be a 9 out of 10. What's going to be a 10? But only when they say The Exorcist and The Shining are 10s. No, for what it is, The Evil Dead is perfect. And for what it spawned and inspired culturally for a film with so little resources is a historic achievement in cinema, and especially in the horror genre, and is something that Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and the entire team of wonderful artists can take immense pride in as well. It's something that is surprising in that it's the first film of Sam Raimi, and it's not uncommon that for many filmmakers that it is those early efforts that are so full of a mixture of intention, planning, and accident, and things going wrong that produce something unexpected, off the cuff, not rehearsed, not intended, but strikes a chord that, strikes a match and starts something special. In some ways, my own film, Lord of Tears, did that for me. It helped to build the career stuff and things like that. And I consider how limited its resources were, and yet the influences and opportunities that film's created for me and for our company Hex, and that times 100 for Sam Raimi and The Evil Dead. So you have to watch it if you haven't seen it, and especially if you're an independent filmmaker, watch it and learn from it. Whatever you think of the film. If you think, no way, this sucks or whatever, then watch it again until you understand why it's so fucking amazing. Because if you don't, then you will be too stupid to progress further as a filmmaker. What you need to know to become someone competent within the horror genre is all laid out. It's a 90-minute film school. Watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Wait, do I have one more piece of trivia? Right, here's a wonderful, wonderful piece of trivia from Tom. So on the opening night, on the premiere, Bob Che of New Line Cinema, who had signed up the film for distribution, got cold feet about the cut that was being shown. They were like, you know what, we need to turn this around. This film is too long. There's things that are not working. We need cuts. So as they're going out and passing the initial premiere, the screening, they see queues so long, word of mouth has travelled so fast from just the first screenings that people are crowding out to see this film, this zeitgeist within the indie horror genre. And instantly they turned that decision right around. Don't touch it. Whatever it is, it's working. And for New Line Cinema, that made them a lot of money because the film did spectacularly well. So folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Megan Tremethick and Tom Staunton and Michael Brewster. And to all our backers on Patreon as well. So folks, please like, share and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.